I quit it. Go for a week, maybe a week and a half doing that. Okay, and I'd have to stop because I had this TV set where I'm watching old westerns and whatnot, and then I said, I've had enough. Oh, wow. Well, my quality was really good.
Okay, if we can get started. Good morning. Welcome to the June meeting. Glad to see everybody's here. Does anybody have any business to discuss with the meeting? Anybody? Will sent out an email last week or the other day about a group get together for photography down in downtown Richmond. That'll be on the morning of the 21st.
Go on the right spot.
Okay. Other than that, I don't have anything specific going on. And so it should be a good time. Yeah, my next photo workshop at Lewis Ginter is on July 10th, the Saturday. And for that one, I bring in lights and flowers and backdrops, and we do flower for portraits. And that's a fun one. Like 9 to 3 or 9 to 4, something like that. So, yeah, we spend the morning taking photographs, grab a bite to eat, edit our photographs, and then share them. So it's a fun time, good time.
I haven't written it. I've taken it in. We learned a lot.
How do you sign up for this thing?
I just go to the Lewis Ginter website. Up at the top, they have learning. It's under the adult programs. Anything else, anybody? Okay, our program today is from Paul, who is going to be talking to us about infrared camera conversions. And I'm quite interested in that myself. So,
Okay.
okay.
All right, Kent, how do I get from here to there?
Sure.
What do I do?
Also, one more thing, we don't have a program set for July yet. So if you can think of anything, anybody we could bring in, or anybody who would like to make a presentation, has something to show, please. We need presentations. So.
What do I do? Well, no, I want to go up to the show.
I have one of those too. I didn't wear it today, but
Used to be a Whipper golf.
yeah. Yeah. I usually use a macro lens, but you could use just like I've got a 24 to 105 walking around lens. It would work just fine.
And then I'm going to get up here.
Quite honestly, you can use an iPhone. The new iPhones are so good that you can actually do that.
Maybe if you don't get a
Oh, stop it.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
If nothing comes up.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
And this is my chat here on infrared photography. I'm going to cover some aspects of it, but just think of it as the invisible light. First, and basically the topics I'm going to have. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background. I'm going to define what actually infrared is and what it isn't, why you may want to shoot infrared, the equipment that I have, the media possibilities with it. There's more than one way to do this. You can convert a camera, there's film. The differences between processing non-infrared and infrared, it can be a little tricky. basic camera operations, infrared post-processing, some of the best subjects. And if I can quote my good friend Ed Tipper, that where he says there aren't no stinking rules, well, there's some guidelines, okay, and some additional information. Now, following this, I'm going to show some examples and walk you through some of the problems I've had. I guess I've got about 25, 30 images there. And then I'm going to show you an actual post conversion using Photoshop and a software product I bought called Clear. First off, my background, I got into mirrorless long before everybody else did. This is my first camera. And when I grew up, I went full board mirrorless. So I've gone full circle, and about a month ago, I got my first mirrorless camera. Now, in this pursuit with black and white photography on my own darkroom, I belonged to the Silver Spring Camera Club. And in belonging to that, I joined or became part of a cult group that was hell-bent for leather on finding the best way to process film and paper. And we had quite a team. Had a fellow from Atomic Energy Commission who was a chemist. The Bureau of Standards, he had a densitometer to measure the thickness of the emulsion on the film. I worked for IBM, and I had more computing equipment and plotters than you could possibly imagine. And then a fellow from NIH had access to an electron microscope. And we proceeded to test all different kinds of film developers and whatnot. And along in that process, I was experimenting with some infrared. And in that travel, I came across a person named Jill Enfield out of New York, who was taking infrared film, shooting it, and then was hand coloring the prints with oil colors. And I saw that and I thought, wow, I was really impressed. So I went out and got all the stuff to do this, all the oils and all this kind of stuff. And it was really great getting away from computers and monitors and keyboards. And here I was behind an artist board table where I could hand color. Now, Jill came to Washington and when they had photographic shows that went around, and they had all the vendors there, and then they had the seminar breakouts, and she gave one. So I had to attend. Her work was more beautiful in person than it was in the book that I bought that she published, and certainly in the magazines where I saw her work. And when her session was over, she opened it up to questions. And of course, I call them the camera techie nerds were in there. And some guy, wasn't me, raised his hand and said, "How do you process your film?" And she said, "Well, Kodak says to use D76, and I just follow the directions." Well, how do you process your paper? Well, Kodak says to do it this way with Dectol. And I'm sitting there and we have spent months finding this optimum thing. And my work is garbage alongside of hers. And this girl is an artist. I mean, her work is gorgeous. So then, well, what oils do you use? She said, "Oh, well, whatever Pearl Art has on sale." At that point, it was a pivotal moment in my photographic journey. And I said, I am no longer interested in the technical aspects of photography. I'm back into the art. So my bias here going forward is that I am more concerned with the art with infrared and some of the nuances that you need to do to get the art as opposed to technical aspects. So if you've got any technical questions, I've got a resource to look at as far as how all of this works. But I don't know and I don't care. All right. All right. First off, this infrared is not heat. And I know you've all watched the things on TV where You see the bombers go over and people running around and they blow up buildings. Well, that's heat sensitive. This is not this. This is on a different spectrum. It's invisible light. And it's generally measured in nanometers. And 700 and plus, I think it goes up to 800, is monochrome. That's strictly black and white. And the closer you get to 500 is full color spectrum. Now, what's in between is kind of washed out colors. It kind of dims the colors down. They're not quite as vibrant the closer you get to 700. And it is reflected light, like the light that we see, below the human eye range. Now, let me just explain. This is as technical as I'm going to get. And I remember this from, I don't know, 6th grade or something. And that is when light comes down, okay, that it is all of the colors except the color. So say, for example, this table is red and the light hits it and we see a red table. All of the other colors are absorbed by red and only the red reflects. All right, infrared don't work that way. All right, it's a new set of rules. And I just read recently where somebody has developed a set of contact lenses that enables you to see infrared. Well, when you see some of my images, I can't imagine why anybody would want that. Okay, this is as technical as I'm going to get. I'm going to give Kemp a copy of this. You can look at it, but if you look to the left there of the spectrum, visible light is on the right. We are to the left. So you can't see this with the naked eye. You can't see this. Now, why would you want to do it? Let me get rid of that. Okay. Why would you want to shoot an infrared? Well, to begin with, it opens all new doors for you as far as creative possibilities. It's incredible. The images that you get are surreal. They take something as the last thing here, the simplest reason is it takes basically a mundane visual image and makes it far more interesting and in many cases spectacular. And last but not least, I issue a warning to all of you. It is incredibly addictive. Now, my equipment, I had at the time, I think I had a Mark III and a Mark II, and I was exploring infrared online, and I discovered this Life Pixel people, and they've got a website. And if you want to learn a lot more about this than what I know, boy, they go into a detail that would bury you. So they modified the camera, and mine was modified to 665 nanometer. The lens that I used, which is, by the way, I didn't buy it for it, it's what I happened to have, was the 16 to 35, so that's what I put on the camera. Later on, I bought the 28 to 300 for it. My favorite lens, though, is the Lens Baby Composer Pro. I really like that lens, especially for close-in subjects. It's I've got the Composer Pro 35. The other thing that I have is the Expo disc for white balance. That's this thing here. I have it up here if you want to take a look at it. And in the process, you'll understand that white balance isn't quite the same. The other thing, I'm a PC person, Photoshop, and the software that I bought to process this creative light and infrared is pronounced Clear. So I've got a Clear software package that I'm going to show you that last. I'm going to bring it up and show you just what a nice package that is. And by the way, I've got a card. I get commission on this. All right, no, not really. Okay, the possibilities for media, first off, is film. That's where I started. I don't know if Kodak makes it any longer, but film was one rather interesting thing to use in that you could not load your camera like you loaded normal film camera. Fact is, when you pulled the canister out, there was tape around it that said, do not open in light. You have to open it in complete darkness and load the camera in complete darkness. So you had to go around with one of these changing tents. Also, with film, you had to use a number 25 or number 29 red filter, which when you put that on, sometimes looking at what you were shooting got rather interesting. Today, Ilford makes a film, I think it's called SFX, that is red sensitive. That's a possibility. Ed, I think I gave you a roll of it, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, you can also go filters. It's the least expensive. However, when you put an infrared filter on, you can't see through the lens because it's only letting infrared light through. So focusing gets rather interesting, composition gets interesting. Then you can go the camera conversion, which there's a couple companies do this. And you have to decide what nanometer conversion you want. Now, today, they've got with full color spectrum, you can have your camera converted to full spectrum and put a filter on it and still take regular photography. So you get basically 2-in-1. And you can buy other filters for it that will convert it to basically every spectrum between monochrome and full color spectrum. And as I said, with the blue filter, it has a blue tint to it. When you look through it, you can do normal images.
Question.
Yeah.
So when you say full spectrum color, does that mean it's a normal photograph?
No. Full color spectrum is the most vibrant infrared colors. I mean, it'll knock your socks off when you see that, as opposed to, you know how you got the slider for vibrance when well, it's kind of like that. When you slide it down, the colors kind of dim down, and then you go all the way to the one side, it turns in the monochrome. Same thing here. Okay. And they've got on the Light Pixel, they've got samples of each one image-wise out there for you to see. I chose 665 for this reason. When I was originally going to do it, I thought, I want monochrome. Why would I ever want to fool with stupid color in this? Because I want to hand color them and whatnot. And it's pricey. It was like for full frame cameras, like $400. So I thought about it quite a bit, talked with the people, and the guy says, well, you can still move your slider to go to monochrome, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. We don't do a lot of those conversions anyway. So I went with, and there wasn't that much selection at the time. Now there's a lot more. I decided to go with color, and I'm glad I did. Now, the differences between non-infrared and infrared, first off, none of your equipment is designed for infrared. And I mean, when I say none of it, I mean none of it. Human vision, you can't see what the camera is going to see. The camera, the microprocessor doesn't know what to do with it. JPEG, when you convert it to JPEG, it doesn't really know what to do with it. The exposure meter at times can get confused. And that typically when I'm shooting non-infrared, I can shoot here, shoot aperture priority or something. Go over here and shoot, and go over here and shoot, and the camera takes care of the metering. Infrared in that way. I can shoot here, be perfectly exposed, go over here and shoot, and it's under or over. So that I typically bracket. Also, I tend to look at the images after I shoot a lot more than I do with non-infrared. Also, autofocus. If you remember from the film days, anybody 35mm film days, remember the little red dot on the lens? That was the infrared focal point, okay, where you set it, because the wavelengths going through the lens do not land on the film, or in this case, the sensor, the same way that they do for non-infrared. So that there's some considerations there. Lens-wise, again, the focus calibration and the reflections, the ghosting, and I'll show you some examples of that. And when you look through your camera, you can't see it, but the sensor sure does. Lightroom and or Photoshop is not designed for it either. And that is, you can't move the sliders far enough to do what we call the channel swap. I'll explain that a little later. And last but not least, your computer. Now, imagine I were in the Southwest and we were shooting all kinds of pictures. We have an RV with a big screen TV, and at the end of the day shooting, we like to look at what we shot. Now, the computer I had was an El Cheapo El Besto Dell. I think I paid like $260 for it or something. Did everything I wanted to do, except it doesn't run Photoshop, but it will run Bridge. So we were looking at the slides, you know, our images, she took and I took. And then we got finished and she said, well, gee, why don't you show your infrared? I said, oh yeah. So I brought those up. The computer ran for about 11, 12 minutes and it shut down. Just turned off. And it's like, what's going on here? Well, the only reason why it would turn off, run out of power, or it was overheated. Well, when I felt the bottom of it, it was overheated. Well, guess what? Infrared through the computer burns a lot more, or whatever it is, cycles in there and will overheat your PC. If you notice the one I have here, I've got up on a stand. So in order to show all of those infrareds out of town, I had to get a couple of books and prop up the laptop off the table to keep it cool. So remember, nothing is designed for it, including us. Okay, camera operations, you can only process RAW. If you're trying to alter any of the images, which you will want to do, you have to shoot in RAW. Next, you have to manually set the white balance. You can't fix it in post. Why? And I had quite a spirited discussion with somebody. I said, wait a minute. You fix it in Lightroom or Photoshop, those white balances are set for our light spectrum of light, not the infrared spectrum. So when you try to white balance in post, it doesn't work because it's a different spectrum. So what you do is you have to set it. You can focus on some asphalt, blacktop, some grass, or this piece of equipment I have here, this Expo disc that I use for set my white balance. Manually take a picture, load it in, fixes the problem. I've also noticed that when I do this, that there is a difference in the light, the infrared light between the morning and high noon and the afternoon. Not much, but enough to where I will frequently retake it depending on time of day. And after each shot, you have to check the focus, exposure, and the ghosting. Post-processing, I use Photoshop and
Question about the web.
yeah.
You use the Expo disc, and I know what it is. And you said a custom white balance with the Expo disc. Can you use a gray color also?
I don't know, Ed. I really don't know. I don't know what it would reflect. Again, because it's the infrared spectrum. I suspect it might work because if you don't happen to have an Expo disc, what they tell you to do is to shoot grass. Okay, shoot grass or some asphalt, you know, worn asphalt, not real black asphalt. So it might work. Try it. If you do not have clear, you have to convert the image to a digital negative. Then when you bring up Photoshop, you have to do the channel swap. And I use clear, which I'll show you. I'll demo that. And you should elevate your laptop. I don't have any issues with my desktop, just the laptop. Oh, the other thing you need to do in post-processing, when you come up in RAW, you have to use the profile that is for your camera. And they tell you how to do that. Bottom line is it's more steps and it's somewhat of a pain.
A question?
Yeah.
So when you bring up an image on the laptop, PC, is the image at that point a JPEG or is it something else?
RAW.
It's raw.
It's RAW. If you try to shoot, I'll show you my mistakes. When I first got my camera, I made every possible mistake you could in processing it. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more, but that's a great question. Okay.
Okay.
The best subjects, well, there really are none. However, the best time is between 11 and 2 in the afternoon. When I show you some of my sample images, you can see the the light where the shadow comes down to where that's where I was shooting. Also green foliage. The greener it is, the more pronounced effects you'll get. It doesn't reflect green. Landscapes are generally the best. Stone structures, old forts, buildings, cemeteries, stone things, not suitable. Water tends to look black, okay, when you shoot it. Indoors generally doesn't work too well. I've got one sample of that. People, it really lightens the skin, almost for Caucasians, almost makes you look ghost-like. And clothing, I've got one example there of that. You don't know what colors you're going to get off of clothing. However, I'm going to give you a bunch of sample Facebook groups that people put their work out there. People shoot a lot of this stuff. Okay, so when I said there aren't no rules, well, this is just my guidelines for best subjects. Additional information here, the camera conversions like Pixel. They do conversions. There's a great free education out there. They have workshops that they do. And Calari, which is the people that produce Clear, Blake Radis and Tony. Blake Radis is in the US and Tony's over in France somewhere. I think he did the software and Tony did most of the film on it. And here, these are the Facebook groups that you can get out there and take a look at a lot of people's work. You see mine out there every now and then.
Will you tell us what Calari does? I mean, not just familiar with it. I mean, excuse me, Clear does.
I'm going to show you it. Okay, it's if you look at it, it's a lot better than me trying to explain it. Okay. All right. Now I got to get to another screen here. This works. Oh, it does. No, it didn't. There we go. This is the very first image that I took with my camera after I had it converted. It took about 10 days to 2 weeks for me to get it back. I bought it brand new and sent it off. The mistake I made is I didn't shoot with the camera first. Because the microphone doesn't work on the camera if I take movies. And I don't know if they did it or that's the way it was defective. Either way, I don't shoot infrared movies, so I don't really care. This was taken with the 6D, and the only lens I had at the time was the Nifty 50. So this is it, and this is how they look when they come out. There's no processing done here, and for that matter, I can't do any. This is a JPEG. I didn't set the white balance, but this is how they look. But I got to tell you, I had my socks knocked off when I saw it. I just thought, this is phenomenal here. This is the second picture I took, which is I went and walked around my neighborhood, and this is right out alongside my house I had in Chesterfield. And that's how it looks. Now, this is examples here of ghosting. This is I'm using my 16 to 35, and you just never know when it's going to do this. Generally, when you're looking at the sun, it's pointed at a sun's angle. Here's another. Okay. Yeah, it's got that one. Okay, this is another. So you can see, by the way, I was surprised I actually had some left, but I usually delete them. When I was doing this presentation, I had to really scan to find them.
Is this the equivalent of flares? Or is this
Yeah,
different?
this is lens flare. Okay, and it's, you'll get it with non-infrared, but with infrared it's worse. More susceptible. And you can't see it in the viewfinder. Okay, you can only see it when it comes up on display. You see how water looks? Looks kind of funny. Pardon? Right. This is one of Madge. The truck that's on the left is a maroon color. The shorts she was wearing were red. And notice her watch on her left arm. That's one of those digital watches. And also notice this is taken with the lens baby, and with it, it did the Newton rings around them. This was taken down in Williamsburg. Now this is now at this point I'm shooting raw. I educated myself, and the last one you saw was raw. The rest of these are in raw. Okay. This is a girl down in Williamsburg, and this is I want to say the raw image, and then the processed image looks like this. But see, she's still, very pale. This was taken indoors with the lens baby, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of a surreal look, but indoors wise, it just doesn't have the same kind of effect as outdoor with the sunlight. This is one who was outdoors and was taken in Santa Fe. And
Speaking.
did I hear something? Okay.
Okay.
And, oh, that's me. This was wood, was
In
taken
overdrive.
outdoors, and
Okay.
when I tried to process it, I couldn't do anything with it. It just was green. So it just didn't lend itself to infrared photography. Now here is one taken at the same place. Again, this is the raw image. This is the processed one. Let me back up one. Let you see that again. Raw image. And then the processed one. This is in post. Yeah.
Of course, I point back to the question of overheating. I mean, everything display has to be within the gamut of the screen, right? You know, it couldn't show anything. So what causes the overheating? That's the part I'm puzzled.
Well, what causes the overheating in the laptop is the graphics must have to go through more to display it. So it's using more cycles in the computer on the chip. And that's what causes it to overheat. That's my theory. If somebody has a better one, I'll take it. This is down in Williamsburg. Now, if you look there, you can imagine there's a lot of green there. This was our Southwest trip. Now, leaves and grass are not pink. This was taken in Florida. Now, this one, I'm going to walk you through. It's basically a not terribly interesting image taken with the lens baby. Are any of you familiar with the lens baby? Well, if you're not, basically it blurs everything around in a circle. So you see the image there, it's all blurred all around of the circumference, but it's sharp in the center. Now the lens baby, you can also move the center of the image where you want it sharp, okay? So in this case, I moved a little up and to the right to get that plant in focus. This is with the first iteration. Second, Remember I said this is addictive? Well,
So you're showing us variations of the corrections you made from the raw to.
yeah, I'm just choosing different sliders, which are done automatically with the software. All right, this is some monochrome examples of infrared. This was actually color. This was one of my favorite ones. This is the base image. Now, remember what I said about the color vibrance? Well, this will show you the difference. Now, some people like this one, and some people like this one. I like this one personally. And there it is in monochrome.
And these are the examples of adjustments made with clear.
Yes. Yeah, when I get finished this, I'll show you. This is the Lens Baby, and this was in Texas at the Bug Ranch, I think they called it. Sepatone. There I turned it into a negative. Now, I'm sure you've all seen the advertisements for that where the long road is north of Monument Valley. If you've seen Forrest Gump movie, this is where he stopped running. Was about, I guess about 2/3 of the way down there. Also, on a side note, where I was standing, there were like 2 hills that came up, weren't that high, and they had to cut through it for the road. Well, the speed limits out there on this road are like 80. Okay. But where this pass is there, and all the photographs, all the photographers are, they cut the speed down to, I don't know, 55 or 60. Nobody observes that speed limit. And where you got the 2 hills and the road through the center, you have these fanatical people that get out there with tripods to shoot this road, and the cars whizzing by them at 80 miles an hour within inches of them. So I was not going to do that. I got up on top of one of the hills, and this is where I took it. This was at Shiloh. You can see the kind of pictures that I kind of gravitate to, of things, and this was taken in the beautiful megatropolis of Groom, Texas. You can imagine what the real colors of those signs are. The Leaning Tower of the Groom. This was up north of Santa Fe, and this guy had the biggest collection of junk in his place and loved photographers. That's where I took the picture of all those gas station pumps that was indoors. This was outdoors. Fascinating, isn't it?
Paul?
Yeah.
You're shooting down the resident, did you also take, non-IR?
Yes, I took an edge. No, I had it in the car, but Madge takes more pictures than I do. Okay, and so we go somewhere, we both get out and we're shooting. If she's got her camera, I don't even bother, because she's going to get plenty pictures. Also, even if I wouldn't take regular pictures here, because this place was an infrared photographer's dream. The whole Southwest strip of places we went was just absolutely perfect for it.
Oh, great. Actually, what you said earlier, when you take these pictures, you didn't really know what color you were going to get.
No. You really don't.
Now, you were taking these with your conversion as a monochrome conversion or the
No.
color? 665.
Yeah, which has color in it. Remember the first ones I showed you, the trees?
Yeah.
That's color, okay, that's my conversion. Now, if you went full spectrum, the colors would be a lot more vibrant than that.
Mm-hmm.
Look at those clouds. Yeah, the colors are just some of the stuff together with those, you really can see when you shoot it. These are obviously photo colors here. I pushed the envelope on it, but I kind of like the result. That's my dirty maroon truck there. By the way, if you ever visit Monument Valley, be sure to take something to cover your camera with. It's very dusty there. And never take the south entrance. Wasn't that road interesting, man? You can, at best, you can do 15 miles an hour. Oh, Chaco Canyon, I'm sorry. Yeah, but Monument Valley was pretty bad too. Wasn't this the place we were shooting and you asked me what I was taking pictures of? And when we got back, I said, I didn't see all that. I don't remember. I got them all mixed together. Yeah, this is Chaco Canyon. Now, these stones did not have those colors. You see the different colors in the stones? They didn't have those colors. Notice on this one where the direction of the shadows and the sunlight, remember I said it's best between like 11 and 2? This proves it. This amazed me, and that these people, when they built this thousands of years ago, did not have any animals to transport the stones. This was all hand carried. And notice how they put the finished stones on the exterior and the rough stones on the inside. This is Mesa Verde. And I think this is the only picture I've ever taken with that real long Sigma lens that I bought. I'll take it more than that now, but yeah, that was real far off. Fact is, you really couldn't see this with the naked eye.
So for focus, you just set it so that you have a lot of depth of field?
Yeah, I just use a higher aperture.
Mm-hmm.
This donkey was brown, thickened with the lens, maybe, I believe. And the road was had a lot more color in it than the stones. Devil's Tower. I don't remember where this was. Is this the Grand Canyon? Looks like it.
Looks like it.
But I don't think it is. This is one of the few shots that I had where I think the water came out well. Has a nice reflection in it. So did this one.
question?
Yeah.
So, okay, so, given that you don't know when you actually take a shot, what color you're gonna be captured. Red, when you sit down to process, what is your goal? Is it just to lose the sight, do you see something that, just make sure, you like?
Yeah,
Is
it gets down to when I do the post processing, like with this picture here. I brought this one up and then I just start playing with it, playing with the colors, and sometimes I'm trying to get the sky usually is the biggest challenge, to get the sky to come the way you want it, and the foliage. And then from there it just gets to artistic expression. Like this one here, this is the last one I have, by the way, I believe. And from this one, I said, what am I going to do with this? So I just did this. And I did some things outside of clear to get the textures. This is the last one. This is with the cemetery and the trees and bark. And I had trouble with the colors. It has kind of a blue cast to it. It's difficult to try to remove. With like any color thing, when you mess with one color, you bother something else.
I was just gonna ask whether or not you can make adjustments with selections, isolate some apart. Is that a possibility with the setup you have?
I haven't done it. I'm sure somebody knows how to do it, but I haven't. Okay. That's it for that. And from here, I want to get to here, and this is where I'm going to actually process some. And I'm going to bring up something with some different colors in it. Come on, do it. Kemp, do you have any suggestions here? Yeah, let me see here. That's a good idea. Open with. Yeah, usually you double click on an image and bridge, and it will bring it up. Like if I hit spacebar, it will bring that up. Double clicking here, loading high quality preview. If I close that, it's going to close the Zoom. I'm just trying to get rid of stuff, seeing if that's some memory thing. Back to it. All right, let me go to plan B here. All right. Now I guess I can, yeah, this is probably the most interesting part. Yeah, this is, all right, is that showing up there?
Yeah.
Okay, this is this is raw, and the only thing that I did was kick the exposure a little bit. Oh, where's my cursor? All right, there we go. Now, is this showing? Yeah, good. But okay. To bring up clear, okay, you go to window. And I'm going to take this slow because I know you may not be familiar with this. So, and then you go to extensions, legacy, and the clear panel. There it is. Now, you can't see me holding the shift key down, but I'm going to hold the shift key down, which gives me the white balance. And you get, this is the first iteration of it.
And what in infrared, what is the goal of white balance? The neutral gray show up, both neutral grays in the final image or what?
The white balance basically pushes it to the infrared spectrum of light. Okay, like when you're shooting non-infrared, you're doing a color temperature thing.
Right.
Okay, well, this moves it to the color temperature of, if you will, of infrared.
Okay, and what, how do you know it's balanced, given that the colors are also different?
Well, what you can do is you can bring it up without the white balance. Okay, this is what it's doing, white balance wise. Or you can try it in the camera. You can shoot it both ways. I found that the colors are better when I set the white balance in the camera. I have more to work with. And also here, for the most part, when I do the white balance, the sort of the camera kind of thing too, the colors are better. Now, I'm going to do another one here in a second, but I'm going to walk you down this one first. This will be a different look. See, the colors are more pale in this one than they were in the last one. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? Now I could go down to 4 and 5, but I kind of like this. So I'm going to go over to the boost panel and boost all colors, just to show you what this will do. By the way, when you work with this product, you can't be in too much of a hurry. Okay, That's bringing up the colors even more. Now aesthetically, I'm kind of happy with this. That's what I'd want to see. But you could go in all different kind of directions.
At this point, is it still a raw file?
At this point, it's probably PSD. Now, let me open up another one here. I'm going to open up,
So Clear is doing a bunch of processing to do this.
yep,
Is that where the heat builds up and?
I would assume so.
So it's not actually a display of an image, it's conversion that's going on.
That's correct. All right, now this one, I am not going to use clear. Okay, I'm going to do it without clear, and I'm going to do what they call the channel swap. I go to image, adjustments, and I go down here to channel mixer. Now, this is what they will tell you in the directions as to how to process infrared. You change the red to 0. You change the blue to 100. Oh. Come on. I'm glad I don't have to do this too much on this keyboard. And then you go to the blue and you do the opposite. You change the red to 100 and you change the blue to 0. And this is what you get. If I did the same thing with clear, let's do number 5, see what that looks like. That one generally runs a little while. Now let's boost these colors and see what they do. Not very exciting, is it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, that looks better though. Let me compare it. Let me go back and open the same one again. And do the channel swap for comparison. Right, that's with the channel swap. That's the basic, and this is with the clear product. Would you want to see another sample? Had enough? Was that a yes? Okay. All right.
So, the question, so seeing what you got out of clear, is there manipulation in Photoshop that you could have come closer to that clear image just by manipulating channels?
There might be, but I don't know what it is. Okay, history wise,
Back at Photoshop. Play with this before, there's more done.
well, let's see, here we are. Yeah, you want me to play with it some more?
Photoshop.
Okay. Where would you want me to go here? Hue saturation, color balance, channel mixer again. Right.
Like the clear image had the building more red, could you take that Photoshop image and make the building more red? Or something like that, I'm just curious as to what.
Let's see here.
I've
So
never
we
done
got
that
it here.
channel
Let's make it
swapping.
more red. Let's take the blue and the clear product basically is executing Photoshop commands. Okay, it just makes it a whole lot easier. And there's a lot more stuff you can do here that I haven't shown you. But I just wanted to keep it simple.
Well, when did you start messing with the individual? Or this process, when did you start?
Oh, well, I started with film, I guess, about 20 some years ago. But with this, it seemed to me I got the camera about 6 or 7 years ago, had it converted, and then it was probably maybe a year and a half after that I got the clear product. And it is one of the better software investments that I bought. I bought a few things out there that I think I should have had my sanity question. Yeah, one of the things I noticed when you fool with the sliders, the green doesn't really do all that. Yeah, you can play with these colors quite a bit. But the clear product makes it a whole lot easier. That's the clear product. When I got it, it was on sale. I think it was around Black Friday or something, and there's no maintenance fee on it. It's one-time charge, and I got it for about 150. Now I think it's over 300 regular price.
Are there updates to that or?
Pardon?
Updates to that program?
Yeah, I've gotten one new version since it, and I've been running it on the beta version of Photoshop. And there's some things that kind of pop up that look a little strange when you get into some of the more esoteric features of this thing. I did the saturation. You can also get in here to colors. Boost more colors. I mean, you could play with this thing till the cows come home. Really, it's just got so much stuff in it. And over in the transform, color twister, putting more colors in, taking colors out. And over here in the look side, white leaves and blue sky. Again, each one, it's what I do is I just play with it till I get kind of what I want, what I'm happy with, and then do a save. Any other questions?
Yeah.
And if I can help you on your journey to infrared, let me know.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Kim.
Okay, let's take a few minutes and then we can get into photo share.
Not hard enough time, we just keep images the way they are.
Mhm.
You know.
It's gonna feel good to get outside.
Crazy. I won't give you the answer. I guess we got 100 people crammed by it. I don't know how that was. Yeah, I've never done it either.
Got a lot of money on it.
I'm good at following your part.
Time lost is.
Let me get out of here.
Okay, if we want to start photo share. Okay, these photos are mine, first ones, and I have a patch of these I planted over 20 years ago in my backyard. It was like 2 or 3 plants, and now it's like a 10 by 10 patch. It's huge. And so every year I always go out and I pick a couple and bring them in to try to photograph. And I really like this one. This one I thought came out very well. The lily of the valley. Yeah. And then this was at the Botanic Gardens, a nice pink rose. They always bloom very nicely in May. This was also at the Botanic Gardens. I was there one day and just had good clouds in the sky and nice reflections on the lake. So I thought that was pretty good. And you can see to the right the structure of the conservatory that's being built behind it. They're expanding the conservatory, about doubling it in size. They're putting in a year-round butterfly exhibit and also a rainforest exhibit. And that should be open in about a year.
You have to look at all my infrared, and these look kind of funny.
Yeah. Then I took a day up in Shenandoah and I drove up early one morning and it was foggy, which I like. I always like being there in the fog. And this was Skyline Drive in the morning with some fog. I like that.
Standing in the middle of the road on a foggy day, it makes good to see there.
I stopped the car and I shot through the window. And while I was up there, it was wildflower weekend. And so I went out on one of the paths that I know and I shot this Jack in the Pulpit. And then this I think that's a cinnamon fern opening up. They were pretty cool along the trail. Then on my way home, I left early in the morning and it was foggy in the valley. And this was at one of the overlooks, I think the point overlook, and it was just a view to the west looking into the valley and seeing the fog. This was the calla lily that I brought in for our last class or our last meeting. And when I took it home, I did a few more photos of it. And this is a dahlia that I bought at, I think, Home Depot and took it home to photograph. So I like that. The background there is the sky. A photograph of the sky that's projected on my television. So, yeah. And then this is another dahlia from the same plant that I shot. And then this is a different dahlia that I bought another day and getting ready to open. This was at Norfolk Botanic Garden. I had never been there before, and we decided we were originally going to go up to Longwood Gardens near Philadelphia and spend 2 days up there because I hear it's a huge garden and it's supposed to be really nice. But the week we were going to go, we had planned it was also going to rain that week. So we decided that wasn't the best thing. So I was able to cancel my hotel reservations. And instead we drove down to Norfolk. And it was a really nice garden. I was very impressed by it. And they are also building, they don't have a conservatory now, but they're building one. They should be ready sometime in the next year. And it's going to be huge. So this was there. And this was also another orchid that I photographed in Norfolk Botanical Gardens. And then this was outdoors after we walked through the hydrangea garden, which is huge. There was just this little stream with a footbridge over it, and I thought to take that. This was at Lewis Ginter. I was able to get on a tour they had that was showing the construction site of what they're doing to it. And so I got to walk around and get some photos of the construction and what's going on there. And again, it should be open in about a year. And this is another shot. You can see the old conservatory through the structure of the new part of it that's being built. This side, I believe, is going to be the rainforest. And then over to the right will be the year-round butterfly exhibit.
Was that the hill that?
That's out the back of it, yeah. Yeah, that's on the hill. Then I decided I wanted to see some greenery. We had all that rain a couple weeks ago. And so I thought, well, now we have some rain, we should have some good flowing water. So I went back up to Shenandoah. This is the lower White Oak Canyon. And this one, you enter right on the edge of the Shenandoah and hike up to the water. And I was just looking for some lush greenery and some flowing water. So that was an enjoyable trip. And then this was one that I took. I really enjoyed this one. Just looking to get the flowing water there. Oh, yes. Yeah. That was about a quarter second long. And then this, my wife and I went to see the Frida Kahlo exhibit at the VMFA. And when we came out, the beautiful sky, blue sky, puffy clouds. And so I took this shot of the statue there. And I just thought that made a good shot. That was, I think I was at 16 millimeter with that. So I got a very large vista. I like the way the trees framed it. Then this one I took over the weekend. My wife and I were out for our morning walk in the neighborhood, and we were about a mile away from our house, and I saw some nice dandelions in somebody's yard. So when we got back, I drove down and I picked up the dandelions, and they didn't complain. And so I brought back a couple of dandelions, and this one, after taking some close-ups, I then misted it with water droplets and tried to, just see what I could do playing with dandelion and water droplets. So I did that one. Okay. That's it. Who's next? Peter. Peter.
I have a great good fortune. I have a granddaughter around the corner who wants to go out and do photographs. So we go out. And this is a farmer's market, as you. I just like the colors and the patterns. I don't know what they are. They just look nice. Shadows are nice. I think we missed a couple. Anyway, this is an exhibit down at the museum, the Muscarel in William and Mary. And it's a sort of a tunnel. And do you know what it's made of? CDs. Those are CDs glued together, thousands of CDs. And she's got them going up towards the window. So when the light hits, that's what you see. And it is a fantastic exhibit. It's worth a trip just to see that. The Muscarel in Williamsburg. It's on the campus of William and Mary. Memorial Day, we get out, and this is just an old gravestone falling down. We were up at the east side, cemetery on the east side, and there are two of these blocks. One says unidentified black male, died 2019. The one next to it says unidentified Hispanic male. And I just thought, and they're both very recent, but somebody spent money, put those in there within the last half dozen years. Unidentified.
You can see it better over here. Oh, I don't see it.
How about the Evergreen Cemetery on the side?
Yeah.
There's two old cemeteries together. Yeah. And I love that gravestone because it is the exact opposite of what you see at Hollywood Cemetery. It's just off by itself with a flag. We were there the morning that a unit of soldiers was planting flags on all of the graves from veterans. And I thought that was a very moving shot. This is the Memorial Day ceremony at the War Memorial. I like his definition of a patriot. Person who vigorously supports their country and is prepared to defend it against enemies or detractors, both foreign and domestic. And given his tattoos and his faith, no one was going to argue against him. This old fella, he shows up at every Memorial Day ceremony, and he wears the same jacket every time. He's a Vietnam War veteran. The jacket remembers the 58,500 soldiers died. And we always go out to the airport. And that one I just like because the sunset was hitting it just right. And again, late afternoon, sun hit that American Airlines flight just right as it went up. And This is only your. That's it, I think. If anyone ever wants to go up to the airport, between 4 and 6 o'clock, I have a spot where you can get right under the planes and get some great stuff.
Hello, good morning. Okay, my husband and I were away for about a month from about the beginning of April to about the beginning of May. We were on a cruise to the Panama Canal. We spent a few days in Florida prior to leaving for PC, and then we spent a few days in Seattle as well. And in keeping with Peter's theme, I thought I'll show some of my images using the theme of the movie My Fair Lady. So this was taken in Colombia, Cartagena. Whoops. And then this one, we went to Guatemala, and where did we go? In Puerto Quetzal in in Guatemala. And I just love the colors. Same place. It was in a village, and we didn't wander away from the village. There was just too many things to see. We love the colors. Okay, next. Still in Guatemala. This was in Huatulco, Mexico. And we love that little place. It had really good infrastructure. We met a couple of expats who've been, now they live there for the last 15 years, but they'd been coming down many years prior to that. So, and I'm sorry I didn't get a picture of them because it was like, we want to look you up next time we're down. So this was in Victoria. Couldn't pass that up. One of the entertainers on the ship. We go on the Holland America, which we love. We know what to expect. Just some other friendly faces around the ship in the main dining room. One of the chefs. This poor young lady, in the first few days when we got on board, I was taking a class, an online class, and I really needed my Wi-Fi to be working. So she'd see me like I'm sure I was hoping I would never get her like the second or third time I had to go down to the desk, but she was also very helpful, and Wi-Fi worked out, and the class was great, and I was able to take the final exam while my feet up with a cup of coffee on a cruise. So it was great. And then this is the last shot. We were in Seattle. That's my sister-in-law, and that's our little lady. And we all had a chance to be together in Seattle for a while, where I'm from originally. So the end. Thank you.
These are my pictures. That's at Ginter Gardens. I took Tom's last workshop, and this was out in the gardens, shapes and colors. These are all from that day, just pictures of the garden from the garden. What do you do for that? I some high key sliders and just kind of white. No, just kind of dodge and burned around the edges, burned around, high keyed it with sliders and just some dodging and burning, simple stuff. Close up of a rose. Guess we skipped a few there. That day we were at Tom's workshop was I'd never seen so much in bloom. Everything was in bloom that day at the gardens. It was a beautiful day, as you can see. I like abstracts, as everybody here knows, so some reflections on some leaves. More abstract leaves. That was it. This one was actually Ginger Gardens at Maymont, rather. Whatever was there. I think I got down on this, I think it was the sky. It's not anything that, you know, I didn't post. It was whatever was there. Maybe it was some flowers behind it. I don't know. In camera, the color. I think that's it.
Okay, this is the best shot I got at our last meeting, tabletop photography. And thanks to Nancy for bringing in such a good prop. And thanks to Anita for setting things up for me and getting a nice reflective surface. And I pressed the shutter button. The theme, movie theme is Toy Story. So now that I'm in my second childhood, I play with my toys quite a bit. I used to have a VW exactly like that. Drove it for several years, a fun little car.
How big is that little car?
It's about 6 inches. Yeah. It almost passes for a real one. But this is my favorite, the Citroen CV2. They call it the ugly duckling. But I remembered that I had this old pocket watch, and I thought it might be a good subject for a tabletop photography. And so I took several shots. I milked it for all the possibilities. So I focus stacked one shot, and then I cropped it in on it, and it was still pretty sharp. So I learned. I had never tried to focus stack before, but it worked out pretty well. The watch is constructed like a clamshell, and it has a protective cover on both sides. This is the side that covers the face, and I believe it's probably made out of silver. You can see a lot of maker's marks and presumably the serial number of the watch on the inside. This exposed the works. I had to work on that a little bit in Lightroom because it was really tarnished, and wasn't really very clear, so I decreased the clarity to make it look a little better. And this is my multiple exposure, not really a multiple exposure, but a composite. Combined the works photograph along with a photo of the face, and I just made a composite out of it in Photoshop. Multiple exposure taken in early May at a carnival in Chesterfield. And on the way home from the carnival after getting rained out, I happened to see a bikers get together. So I stopped, got out my camera and walked around a little. I encountered these two dudes, and I very meekly asked if I could take their photos. You notice that the camera angle is shooting up. The taller one is about 6'8", 6'9". But they were very agreeable and happy to have their photos taken. So I cropped in on it to show some details. The thumb and little finger sign, I am told by reliable source, is a good sign. I wasn't quite sure. But then there's another symbol in the far upper right corner, and that symbol has a little different meaning, I believe. It appears to be a middle finger. Some of the other details, you see a pipe smoker on the right side, and on the left side, a cigar smoker. And you can't tell it from here, but the buttons on the vest are a buffalo nickel head. And oh, yeah, good idea. You zoomed in on it. Yeah.
I'm going back to Peter's day suggestions for movie themes, and this was out at the Botanical Gardens, and I called it A Wonderful Life. This one I took in Boston. As you could probably imagine, it's called Jaws. It was really, I don't know how anybody could eat that, but anyway, it was in a fish market. Yeah, yeah. And this I called Dr. Strangelove. It was a sculpture out in front of a Mexican restaurant at the San Antonio airport. And this is Field of Dreams. That is our grandson, who today is 22 years old, and he's playing in a golf tournament. But it's one of my favorite pictures of him. He's quite a guy. This is Some Like It Hot. It was a picture. It was actually a fire down near the Bowtie Theater, and I was driving down one day and I saw this smoke. And here was this car on fire, nobody around, so I called the fire department. And this is Sunset Boulevard in the Shenandoah Mountains. And I don't remember the title of this one, but anyway, it's the goal. Gold Rush, that's the name of it. Yeah. I looked up the 100 best movies and some of these go back to the 30s and 40s, so. Rush. Okay.
In May, I was down in Hatteras, and this was on the ferry going over to Ocracoke, and it's the Hatteras fishing fleet coming in. And that's another one. That's the lighthouse on Ocracoke. And this was our tour guide there at the pony pasture there at Ocracoke. He led us about 50 feet down the path there. He was just walking along with us, just leading us down. And he finally stopped and went off over into the trees. This was Saturday at Cole Harbor Battlefield, the 161st anniversary of the battle at Cole Harbor. And then firing the cannon. And that is it.
Okay, thank everybody for coming. We're working on what we will do for next month. We've got a couple of possibilities going on. But if anybody can think of additional programs for next month or any of the other months coming up, we do need some programs. Give us a thought, think what we can do. And again, on the 21st, Will is setting up a photo shoot downtown on the morning of the or Saturday morning outside. Okay.
What about the chairs?
No, no, everything, the tables and chairs stay where they are.
Yeah.
See you all next month. Take care.
Oh, thank you very much again.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly appreciate it. I'm gonna you're gonna make my friend very happy.
Good.
Thank you for all you do.